What do you think about Game saying that Dr. Dre didn't make any beats for him on the documentary? We
What did
got,
you think?
I'm asking you because you've said some of these things. We got to do an audit on the great Dr. Dre. And I mean, obviously, Dr. Dre's resume speaks for itself, but we need to know a little bit more about what was actually done in certain eras.
How often do I have to speak and be fortuitous without it seem like I'm being a hater?
The
Because all I've been
game and
saying is
Tupac
that,
said the same thing, basically.
and all I've done is ask legitimate questions and been like, well, is he Pete Rock DJ Premier? Or is he like Quincy Jones? Because here's the thing about being Quincy Jones in rap. It's like, first of all, Quincy is qualified as a musician already. You feel what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And so you're qualified as a beat maker already. Nobody's saying you're not qualified as a beat maker. Same, Quincy is qualified as a musician. You feel what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But it says executive produced by Quincy Jones on Thriller. Like song for song, everybody else who produced got their contributions, Mike,
Yeah.
and you're very familiar, even more so than I am,
Rod
with what those
Temperton.
contributions are. Rod Temperton was the first person that came to mind.
Yeah.
Correct. And so all I'm trying to say is that there's been co-production credit given, but there have also been people that said that they haven't gotten credit for what they've done on multiple occasions.
I'm going to say this, and I know I'm going to sound like a hater. People have been mad at me for the past week, I'm sure. But is it fair to say if something says co-produced by, let's just say, Mailman or something, Mailman probably did a majority of the work?
I mean,
If you get the co-production credit, you might have made most of
when
it.
you have like Dr. Dre's ear or Puff's eye, oh well, that's a game changer, okay?
Yeah.
So let's not take that away, but it's like, there's a difference between lending your ear and putting your hands down and getting dirty. You feel what I'm saying? You can hear something and be like, hold up. No, slow that down. Or what key is that on? No, put it on the F. You know what I'm saying? See how that sounds.
Yeah.
Hold on, turn that up. You know what? Take that hi-hat out right quick. Let me see how it sounds without that hi-hat. Okay, right there. Bring them hi-hats back.
You know what I think Dr. Dre
no, you
is?
can't buy a motherfucker that's a genius at that, okay? You can't buy somebody that's a genius at that. But that's executive production.
I was going to say, I think Dr. Dre is a little bit more like Puff than we give it credit to. I think what Dr. Dre excels in, hands down, he is, I won't say probably, he is the best engineer in hip-hop. That he is. You can tell a difference sound quality with his name on something. That's why they sell the headphones at the rate that they do. That's the marketing ploy of the headphones, is the quality. And he's probably the best engineer in hip hop, hands down.
Now let's pause. Well, engineering is a part of the executive production process, not the actual production. It's like when you shoot a film, well, you have a director and a producer, but you also have an executive producer. You feel what I'm saying?
Right.
Like the producer and the director be there for the live shoot. The executive producer might pull up at 1 o'clock in the afternoon and be like, "What you got today?"
Well, that's the money.
What you got today?
Yeah, that's the people who put the money down.
Look, let me see what you got.
Yeah.
No. Tell them to do that scene over. You see right there. You see the body. You see the nonverbal body language like there. I don't like that. That's not going to work. Like, tell them to cut that out.
Right.
Matter of fact, let's put them in a different setting. Let's put them in the elevator instead of putting them on the hallway. See if that works. Right.
Michael Williams with the super chat, though, he says, Mike, I've heard you talk about Mos Def's ability and potential a few times. Do you think he has more talent than Andre?
Yes.
Was his ceiling higher?
Yes.
Yes and yes. Because you know what? I would say more talent because I'm not going to split hairs with this, and I love Andre. I was just about to say that. We're not going to act like Andre didn't try to act. It's still trying. Mos Def had that in the bag. Mos Def proved,
a really good actor.
Yeah, Mos Def proved that on a solo level, he can carry a song. He proved that, I think his hook game is probably better than Dre's. It is.
He has
It
a better
is.
voice
I gotta
too. He
be
has a better
fair.
singing voice, Mike. Umi says.
Yeah,
Just off Umi
he got a
says.
Umi says. He has
Yeah.
Traveling Man, records like that. And this ain't even counting
Traveling
Miss
Man
Fat
is a
Booty
joint.
and all of that stuff. You know what I mean? So yes,
Mhm.
his ceiling was higher. He could do anything.
Yeah. No,
Um
I mean, it's not like there's some sort of wide gap, like on the rapping side, but with everything else, like with the singing and with the acting, there's a gap.
it is. I think when it comes to the rapping part of it, if you want to talk about a ceiling and more talent, I think that his ability to be a solo artist from the rap side of things produces a gap. Now, I will say this. I think both of them approach music from a similar standpoint, their writing,
Mhm.
excuse me, because when you listen to how Mos Def puts together verses like the Time verse on Hurricane, or like his verse on Respiration with the City Breathing, and how
Mhm.
Andre takes on stuff like International Players Anthem, like they take on themes with their writing. And so they approach things at a very similar rate, but I love Dre, love Cass, but Dre, it's hard to put him in any conversation with any artist that has proven that they can hold it down themselves. It really is. It really is.
I mean, like I said, you're the one that got me over to that side and that train of thought and way of thinking. So I'm not about to sit up here and quibble with you about it years later. Now, doesn't have any solo material, and that's just really the end of the discussion. I mean, we don't have to say it in any sort of grandstanding or like, long-winded sort of way. I mean, and people have to understand something. When somebody speaks truth to power, that doesn't make them a hater. That just means you don't like what they're saying.
Well, the thing is, too, when it comes to Dre, I think people have to understand there's not many, if any, rappers that on any level that we can sit here and say don't have an individual song when it's just them in three verses. Can you name any notable MC out there who doesn't have a song where it's just them in two or three verses?
Not notable, Mike. No.
You can't. So for us to sit here and act like what he's doing is normal and it could be qualified, I think is being dishonest. Because even if we talk about Lauren in her short solo career, we call the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill an R&B album, but she still has doo-wop. She still has Lost
Final
Ones.
hour.
She still has Final Hour. Like,
And
come on.
other verses. Like there's a verse
Yeah.
on Everything Is Everything. There's a verse on what's the other one? Like there's other verses on there.
Yeah, but I'm saying if you want to go for a song where it's just her, three verses and a hook, she got classics in that way. So I can't sit there and say like, well, Lauren ain't got this and that. Lauren got Lost Ones.
Well,
She
see
did
that. Okay, so let's pause again. Well, that would be the thing about it. And if we were really parsing hairs, it's like, well, Lauren should be higher than Andre because I always thought Lauren was a better. I mean, lyrically, Mike.
The Outkast catalog is deeper than the Fugees catalog. I would put him ahead of her in that way, but I feel you.
MC. I'm talking about the MC.
I got you.
Because here's what I'm saying. Lyrically, Mike, like she can son Nas and Rakim on a record. And I don't say that about too many people. Like lyrically, she can.
I want to talk about that too, man.
Oh.
I know we're skipping around, but yeah, I do want to talk about with Kodak and Lotto and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But Mike, it's not just the fact that. So the rap songs are brief for her. Listen to the rapping that you're hearing. It's not like, oh, that was a good rap song. It's like, I think that's one of the best rap songs I've ever heard. Except for she did it 3 times, Mike, on one album.
I've got something to say.
It's some of the best rap stuff that you'll find, period. Like the 3 rap songs that are on the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, it's some of the best bar work you will find, period.
I'm going to say
that is all. No. It is not a question of if she can make a rap song by herself. I do not doubt that. I do not question that. I never question that. Question if that ass is going to show up on time. That's about it. The bar work is stupid.
Diverse with the super chat says, love the show, fellas. Keep it up. Have you guys heard the Rick Hyde EP? Short but fire.
Oh,
gotta check that
Ricky
out.
Hyde got one too.
Yeah,
man, like Griselda and their affiliates and everybody are out.
NDU Jam says, Warren G said him and Daz were running around shopping for samples and chopping them up. Dre came for the arrangement and the mixing. Yeah, but that's what a producer is supposed to do from a traditional standpoint. But when we look at what hip-hop producers do, it seems like hip-hop producers, the ones that we normally rank, kind of have to handle everything from the rooter to the tutor. And it's like from the creation of it to handing it off to the artist that you're getting it to the mixing part of it, and to the sequencing, rather. Maybe not the mixing, but the sequencing of the record, like a Premier, like a Pete Rock, like a Kanye, like a, you know what I'm saying? Even a Manny Fresh to his level. So
here's what it is.
He's playing a different game than everybody else is the problem.
He is, but let me submit something to you. What allows him to play that different game? I'm going to tell you, we make a lot of sports analogies and comparisons. So, you know, one of the things that comes with basketball and being what is considered to be the leader of the team or the guy that you look to is that, well, part of what makes or made Michael Jordan who he was as a player, or Kobe Bryant when he was here, God bless his soul, and LeBron James, Kevin Durant. Oh, you might walk in the gym at 5:30 thinking that you're getting there early and they're already in there and have broken a sweat.
Yeah.
Now, hip hop is very much fundamentally kind of like basketball in that sense, where it's like, well, no, we don't really accept ghostwriters like that. And producer wise, we respect the guys that kind of are in the studio really putting in the work and doing everything. Because I'll tell you what, Mike, I mean, and you know him too. Oh, I know a producer that will make the beat, arrange the beat, mix the beat down, bounce it over, and then clean it up and give you a radio edit, a dirty edit, and then just the silent edit. You know what I'm saying? And that guy is my fucking cousin. So it's like, don't tell me that Dr. Dre can't do it.
This is the thing. In hip hop is such a individual sport to a degree. If somebody has help with their rhymes or help with hooks, we knock them for it.
Right.
Looks like Dr. Dre has a lot of help all around.
What do we say about Game all the time? What do people critique about Game when we put Game
The
so
help.
high? They be like Mike D and Coop. They be like, he had a lot of help.
Exactly. And so when it comes to producing, and I think that's just what Jermaine Dupri was saying when they all went ramsack on him for no reason. Jermaine Dupri said, if you get me, Dr. Dre, and Timbaland, whoever else he said, in a room by ourselves, I think I'm the first one that's going to come out with a hit.
Who said that?
Jermaine Dupri. Remember when he said that? That's when the whole beef, quote unquote, beef started. But see, with him saying that, he's talking about him individually. I don't need all this help. And let's just be real. Dr. Dre has not shown us in any given point, even if we go back to the NWA days, that he could just get the record and say, look, I'm doing this, and I got it. Like Kanye did for Pusha T on Daytona. You know what I'm saying?
He had Yella. Because he had Yella.
He had Yella. And it's like, it's always somebody, which is fine. But I think if you want to be, we got to be balanced here. We can't knock MCs for having help. We can't knock artists for having help. And we say that this one person's the greatest producer ever and they have nothing but help the whole time. We can't do that.
It's very dangerous territory we're actually forging into is actually what I was thinking. This might be one of the most dangerous things that we've talked about because we're talking about
Game said it though.
Hold on, we're pretty much asking ourselves, did Dr. Dre have too much help? Because here's the fact of the matter. Well, if we have to question that, and here's what I've always told you, it's like, well, in a vacuum, give me RZA, because, and this is what I mean. I ain't never heard an MC the caliber of GZA make an album the caliber of Liquid Swords say some shit like, I didn't hear my album till it was done. I'm like, this nigga did everything. Think about how great the GZA
and only built for Cuban Links.
MC, and the album's called Liquid Swords.
And only built for Cuban Links came out the same year.
So did Return to the 36 Chambers, Mike.
Now he didn't do
The
every
only
single
help
thing on there, but
we're
yeah.
talking about how much did Fourth Disciple and True Master?
No,
really
I
do?
feel you, but I'm just saying, you know, I want to clarify for the audience out there because you know
How
people
much
are
did
getting in
Fourth
the chat.
Disciple and True Master really do? I mean,
This
like,
is what I'm gonna say.
Jizza said, "I heard Liquid Swords when it was done, Mike."
Mm-hmm.
When have you ever heard an MC talk like that about an album?
I want to see what the people got to say here.
I heard Liquid Swords when it was done. I'm like, this guy's a genius.
NR says, what do y'all think about G Herbo? Comes from that Chief Keef era, but he's a lyricist. You know, I was listening to G Herbo the other night on the Rap City, and you know, and I've heard him for years.
Mm-hmm.
I like G Herbo, but for some reason he seems like a half step behind the beat or ahead of the beat to me. And I think for me as a person from the South who's always about folks being on top of the beat, it kind of throws me off, man. Like it really does.
I like G Herbo. I don't think he's identified his sound. Like he had, like his personality's bigger than his sound, and I feel like he gets lost in the shuffle. And so I want him to identify a sound and a style that works for him, that separates him from like the class that he's in. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
No, I feel you.
Yeah.
But Jay Short says, "Oh, go ahead."
He's just inconsistent, Mike. He's had some good stuff.
We're going to get to that when we talk about this Neff and Few, which I liked. But I think that it's a sign of an era as far as the way people put together albums. Jay Short with the super chat says, problem is Dre don't acknowledge his help. Is it Dre that doesn't acknowledge his help, or is it that everyone else doesn't acknowledge Dre's help? Because you and I talk about Doggy Style as we should. But everyone knows Daz made the beats on Doggy Style. But as Snoop would say, Dre produced it. So Daz should get some credit for Doggy Style. He never does in public.
So here's a way to look at it. When you look at Dr. Dre's catalog, first of all, people go back to NWA and it's straight out of Compton niggas for life. But Mike, you bring up Yella, as did I. Mm-hmm. So the first two classics, well, it's like, well, Yella's a DJ and a producer too, and he's your right-hand man, and y'all have known each other like for I don't know how long. So it's like, well, you had help on the first two classics, okay? Then you have The Chronic, which was pretty much like hip-hop's first like West Coast like gangster party-ass smoke session turned into like a whole album. And you got to keep in mind, Daz and Warren G are there for The Chronic. And Quick even mentioned being around for some of those Chronic sessions.
Yeah.
That's Quick, Daz and Warren G right there with Dr. Dre.
Now that you mentioned Quick, that's somebody who never really has any help.
Look, I told you.
And he spits too. He writes, produces, and has, I mean, I don't know who Quick has help with. And he engineers. I
mean, you know, his only help on any level that I really knew was Mossberg before Mossberg died.
Yeah.
Right. That was Quick's only help that I knew of on any level, like any level.
And maybe some people in the chat can educate us, because I know we got some insiders in here too. So.
Right, but like me and Six, some DJ Quick loving Southern ass dudes. So like, yeah, I fucks with Quick like tough. So then you go to Doggy Style. Well, then the Daz thing comes up.
Yeah.
Chris the Glove Tabor, who jumped in on this chat, Mike, for the Firm album. He is the co-producer of Phone Tap, Mike.
Yep.
An Executive Decision, I believe.
Yep.
And some other joints.
Shout out to the Glove, man.
Yeah, shout out to the Glove for jumping in the chat. The Chronic 2001, Mailman.
Yep.
Elizondo, both of them. Mike Elizondo and Mailman are both all over 2001, and so it's like.
And after that, he pretty much stopped producing.
well, after that, you know what it's like, Mike. After that, it's like you got the 5-piece, so it's like you got In the Club.
Whoa. We're skipping the whole thing. What about Eminem?
No, we're not. Okay, I'm not skipping anything. I'm not doing it. That's why.
Okay, all right. Can't get jiggy to that.
That's why. No, you want to know what? Eminem is part of the 5-piece because M is where he started just kind of giving people the 5-piece. Because you have to understand, it's not like he's producing every track on the Slim Shady LP, on the Marshall Mathers LP. It's like he produced like 3 or 4. I think he did like 4 or 5 on the first one. He did like 3 or 4 on the second one.
Yeah.
So it's not like he's even taking Eminem on full in throttle by himself.
Yeah, Eminem handles most of his production.
The Eminem show is a 5-piece. Get Rich or Die Trying, 5-piece. The documentary, a 5-piece. So it's like after 2001, you're getting a 5-piece. You might get a biscuit.
Michael Williams with the super chat. Michael Williams says, I listened to the new Gibbs. Pretty dope, but I agree with Mad Max about his flow sounding the same. His choppy, staccato delivery gets repetitive. Okay. Mel531 says, Dr. Dre is the best ever. Please stop, guys. Okay.
Are we saying this is what I mean? Are we saying anything? Like, all we're doing is running down the actual production credits that we know of. We're not saying anything that's untrue. Like, most of the stuff you can actually go look up. Like, you can go even look at Snoop Dogg interviews where Snoop is talking about, well, Daz came up with the beat, but Dre came in and made it what it was.
All right, this is what I'm going to say. And since we're talking about the game.
See what I mean about how people are feeling? Oh, this is so dangerous.
Since we're talking about the game, are y'all going to just sit here and acknowledge that the game's better than Kendrick Lamar then? Because he has a better catalog. Or are we going to say, no, Game had a lot of help on those albums where Kendrick didn't? Are we going to be that fair? Because if we're going to sit here and just totally ignore help, the Game has a better catalog than a lot of people.
Lots.
A lot of people. Lots. So we just got to be consistent in this. And, I don't have the answer today. I mean, we're probably not going to get to the bottom of this today, but these are some things to consider. And I think that when it comes to Dr. Dre being in the verses, I think it's problematic because we don't really, we're going to have a similar problem that we have with Puff.
Take that.
We are. You know what? I might not disagree with Puff now. Maybe Puff does need to go up against Dre. Maybe that's the only matchup. Because they both will sit there and play stuff that, other people had hands in.
Oh, buddy, what are we going to do here at According to Hip Hop? So, we've been off the Rock Nation brunch. I don't even know if they're
I don't think so, man. I think I could still get an invite to the Rock Nation brunch. You hear them J quotes that I've been spitting? I think it's the Aftermath brunch. I'm not going to that anyway. All the Eminem stuff I've said.
I'm definitely not Mike, but I like the West Coast.
And while we're on that subject, Eminem still has not responded to the Black Slim Shady. And I'm tired of you guys out here trying to act like that record's not respondable or something. Like it's whack or something. It's a dope record. And if you don't think it's a dope record, it's because you don't like Eminem's music. Michael Williams with the super chat says, Kanye is the best producer ever. He's the most chameleon-like and versatile. Premier and Dre typically have a signature sound that is identifiable. I want to say this too, and I love Premier, and I think that his signature sound has like a vintage feel to it, so it ages well in that way. But long term, how do the young people view current Premier production? I guess because for us, when we hear it, it's nostalgic, and he's never really had to adjust with the times. So I don't know. It's just does your daughter listen to any of Premier stuff, and what does she think about it? Is that like Daddy's music or something? Whenever he comes with something new,
it's definitely Dad's music because it's like you have to understand if she's hearing Primo from me, she's probably hearing more classic Primo than current Primo. And I kind of audit some of the things that I play for my daughter. Like, it's like I play stuff when I'm with my daughter and she's like 15 going on 16. But it's like I don't be in the car with her when I play the 10 Crack Commandments, quite frankly.
Because the thing is, and I guess
Dad's like a little too enthused, and then she's going to start asking questions. I'm not answering those questions.
I guess what I'm trying to get to.
You're going to ask me those questions, young lady. But no. You know what I'm saying? But not as far as the current stuff. I think the last thing I played, I played Armani Simply Done for her. She liked Simply Done when I was kind of introducing her and putting her onto Armani. Because I put her onto Armani.
That's a good song.
Now she knows who Armani is. You know what I'm saying? But she knows via Dad, and Simply Done was the introduction. And so
that's a good example, though, that song right there. Yeah. I think that's
a great example.
Yeah. It has like a vintage Premier feel to it, but it still sounds up to date.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of the record that he did for Rod Digger. It was at the end of Dirty Harriet, before the bonuses or whatever, when she was talking about her three brothers. Kind of reminds me of that record.
Well, his style has always had a classic, like his early stuff had a classic feel. Go play Mass Appeal.
You know what? His style is kind of like a Jadakiss in a sense, where it's like he doesn't really have to change his style, but it kind of fits
Yeah.
with any and every situation.
It kind of works. Like
Yeah.
the Biggie stuff is special because it's like where he seems stretched the most. Because to be honest with you, if you were to really hear, like, go play Kick in the Door and Unbelievable and 10 Crack Commandments versus all the other stuff that he made around the time, you're like, oh, those are different.
Yeah, they are. You're right. 007 with the super chat. Shout out to 007 in the building. He says, rank Game and Kendrick albums if we go there. If we go
Let's go there. Very problematic. You want to go there? That's fine. Let's go there. How far are we going? We're just going deep. We're just going as far as Kendrick catalog goes, right? Because I mean, Game's got more albums, like 3 or 4 more at least.
Okay, so if we say, documentary, Doctor's Advocate, and Good Kid, Mad City. You got Good Kid, Mad City at the top of all that?
Yes, Good Kid, Mad City is the best album of the collective albums that have been made, in my opinion. Because if we're going to start splitting hairs, he had the least amount of help. And, well, we found out that he wrote J-Rock's verse. The joint with Drake, the Poetic Justice, might be the weakest song on the album. So it's not like that help was like super, super helpful. Dr. Dre's on Compton. It's a fucking Just Blaze beat. Thanks, Dre. Thanks for jumping on Good Kid, Mad City. Thanks for jumping on a West Coast classic and not doing a beat on it.
Hold on. Since we're talking about that, how many beats has Dre actually made for Kendrick?
None.
And he's made none for Game, according to Game.
It's very problematic.
He said he still hasn't gotten a Dr. Dre beat. That's what he said.
Very problematic.
Jay Short with the super chat says, would you ever do a TDE versus Griselda for New School? I think that would be dope. But TDE is going to be so Kendrick heavy, man. It is. Kendrick and Schoolboy.
I mean, Kendrick and Q, man. Yeah. Like, I can't even front. Like, I was working out the Q shit the other day. Like, Lord Have Mercy and that part with Ye and Groovy Tony with Kiss. Like, those are 3 classics, Mike. Like, just...
Okay.
I mean, Studio. I mean, we can just go through Q stuff. Studio, Collard Greens, the Blind Threats with Raekwon. Mm-hmm. What They Want with Chains. Chains verse on there is nasty on What They Want.
Yo, Chains, man. Bars. Michael Williams with the super chat says, speaking of producers, do you think it's fair to say it's more difficult for producers to stay relevant and evolve with the times than artists? I don't know. I've heard DJ Paul speak on that. He said he likes producing more because obviously he raps and produces. Because, like, when you're rapping, you have to try to change with the times and sound cool and hip and this and that. But as a producer, you know, music is everywhere. And you can find ways to continuously be innovative sonically without having to adjust with the times. You know what I mean? Like, there's no subject matter with beats.
The artist.
What's that? Oh, you got a bird in there?
No, you know, like one of the neighbors has like an acoustic set and be playing live music sometime.
Oh, okay.
Like outside, and you can hear like the band playing and stuff. Like I'm hearing them crank up and rev up. That's all. Shoot, they made me lose my train of thought. Where were we?
Well, we were talking about producers and them having to evolve with the times.
That's what I wanted to say. Well, the artists don't get to be themselves the way the producer does.
Exactly.
Like, I just want you to look at it just on this one fundamental basis. So many of the guys who we look up to, like that we grew up on, like their hair color is still the same. Like, and we know that these niggas are 50 years old. It's like, we know that your hair is all the way gray. You're 50. You know what I'm saying? That's what I mean when I'm saying the artists don't get to be themselves. It's like they don't even get. Like for real, Mike.
Right.
I mean, because I have never colored or coded my shit. And when I be seeing like rappers who were like 23 when I was 13, and it's like their hair is like jet black, and I'm like, man, you just celebrated your 51st birthday. Like, get the fuck out of here. Like no gray hair in sight. Like Mike, I'm not even talking like a strand or it's like not even a strain or a strand.
All black dreads and everything.
It's amazing how many of these rappers that are 50 don't have any gray hair at all. You know what I'm saying?
They not
so
stressing.
when you're the artist, you have to do certain things and compromise yourselves in ways the producer doesn't have to do to stay relevant, even on a physical level. It doesn't even have to associate itself with the music necessarily. Madonna still be out here dressing like she's 40 when she's 70 now.
Yeah. Reggie with the super chat says, Mike/Coop, can you check on that Math Hoffa Young Guru part 1 and 2 and Tony Yayo interview? They both covered a lot of what you guys talked about recently. Maybe somebody's listening, I guess.
I saw some of that interview. I was watching.
What did y'all want to cover on that interview specifically? I mean, because this is the thing. One of the things that stood out to me is when he was talking about, 50 Cent and 50 coming and all that, and 50's ability to write hooks, and I didn't specifically love how he kind of called out Memphis Bleak. Like, I know you don't love me should have been Bleak's hook. It's like, who in the Rock really has strong hooks, period? Don't just call out Bleak. You know what I'm saying?
I actually thought that was an insightful point. Unfair, but insightful.
Yeah. I just feel like Bleak always gets pulled out of these discussions. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's unfair.
No, I get you. That's what I mean about the unfair part of it. Just because it was unfair doesn't mean it wasn't insightful, though.
Yeah. I mean, again.
Because I think he's speaking to, why aren't you trying as hard, I think. Like, why aren't you digging deep to try to pull something like that out? Because it's right in front of you. 50 can see it from far away. And so from that level, it is insightful, but it is also unfair because, Do
you think he's viewed... I'm not to interrupt you, but I want to get this out. Do you think he's viewed by his peers as a recipient of nepotism to a degree?
Yes.
And like he didn't... I mean, I don't believe this, but do you feel like some of them feel like he didn't have to work for certain things that others did?
I saw it up close. I told you when Ja Rule and Bleak came into the record store, this is when both of their first projects came out. They moved when Ja said move, and when Bleak was ready to go, they wasn't with it. Like Bleak was the one that was trying to go, but Ja wasn't ready to go. They was not busting a move about Bleak. It was that way back then when I was in high school.
Yeah, that's not cool.
So I've seen it. I remember him saying like, yo, this is back in the day. He was still wearing the do-rag with the cat back and all that. He was in the record store like that. And I remember him being at the corner. He's like, yo, B, let's get in the van. I'm ready to go. They like, Josh still shopping.
It's like, because Bleak was nice, man. And I think that even with him talking about doing the verses, people try to laugh it off, but Bleak will roast somebody in the verses. He's on a lot of great records.
Bleak's got a lot of dope stuff.
He does.
Bleak's on True Love.
Yeah, man.
Bleak's What You Think of That?
Yep. Even the record with him and Ja Rule.
Round Here.
Murder for Life. Yeah.
Yep. Murder for Life. Hypnotic with Jay and Beans. What's the
Get My Mind Right, Money Right, Ready for War.
Yeah, he's made some stuff. Holla on the Dynasty album.
Yeah. 36 Chambers with the super chat says, are there any younger new era producers that rank up there with some of the older legends? Seems like there's a void in quality in producing now. I mean, we got to say Hit Boy has to be somewhere, right?
I would say
and I think Metro as well. Yeah.
Yep.
I think Mike Will made.
Who?
Mike Will.
I like Mike Will made it, but I don't.
He's a hit maker. He's not an album maker per se.
Right. It's like he's the epitome of a great placement producer to me. And I mean that like in a great way, but it's like also it's like, well, it's like, did you hear that whole Liquid Swords thing I just ran down to you?
But even Timbaland and Neptunes haven't even done that. You know what I'm saying? Like I think.
And I don't hold them like they're not in my top 10, either one of them.
Whoa, the disrespect.
Not as far as rap producers.
Oh, right.
As far as we're talking producers, but we're talking like on some rap shit. It's like, and if they did, they'd be like 9 and 10.
Yeah, on some rap stuff, I'm with you on that. Like, it's hard to put them ahead.
You got the Neptunes ahead of Q-Tip, Mike? Because Q-Tip would be like 8th or 9th on this list, probably.
Yeah, not on a rap level. I can't.
Right. Because think about it. Look, Dre, Ye, RZA, Primo, Pete Rock, Dilla, Q-Tip, DJ Paul. You want me to keep Mike Alchemist? You think Neptunes and Timberland? We had 9. I'm just going off the top of the dome.
Yeah, on some rap stuff, that's hard.
I don't know rap shit, Mike.
Now we talking about overall, that's a different list. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
I mean, and Mike,
DJ Quick.
You're right. And the Neptunes will place higher because the Clips.
It's true.
Period.
Mel with the super chat says Snoop and Dre making a sequel, Doggy Style, called Missionary. I'm interested in seeing how it's gonna turn out. 40-year anniversary. Nah, man. Listen, man. I believe it when I see it. How about that?
No, Snoop went on Stephen A. Smith's show and confirmed it.
I believe it when I hear it. Let me speak.
Snoop smokes a lot of marijuana, for those who were not privy to that fact. Inside information.
Listen, this ain't on Snoop. I believe Snoop, but I want to see that Dre is going to make a whole album. I believe that when I hear it. Because these same people have been telling us the Detox is coming out for 20 years. True or not?
Quality wasn't there.
Huh?
See, that's the difference between Dr. Dre and Kendrick. There we go. There's a difference between the producer and the artist. You see, when the producer makes classic stuff and it's not up to par, the producer doesn't have to come out and they get to maintain their legendary status. But when you're the artist, Mike,
you take
a 5-year break. You got to come out with something.
You got to come out.
And it better not be no mid.
They have been talking about the Detox.
You better have all your hair dyed like an old nigga supposed to.
They were talking about the Detox for 20 years until people just didn't care anymore. So,
but it's Dr. Dre, and as a producer, you can get away with that. Like if RZA right now was like, I got some old dirty bastard vocals, and we're gonna redo Enter the Wu-Tang. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, I mean, they also said that Rakim and Dr. Dre was coming out with an album. We would literally wait until
we got Social Security for that album. Like, be like, is RZA still dropping that? Because it's a producer saying it. The producers get to do stuff like that. They don't have to be up in the front. They get to play the back and talk their shit and spit their game and call their clip.
No, hold on. I say this respectfully, though. If Dr. Dre said that him and Snoop are dropping an album, now then I might get a little bit interested. Huh?
It would never come out. If Dr. Dre said it, it would never come out, though. Like,
that's like Andre saying that we're getting an Outkast album. Then, okay, I might think it's going to happen.
Like, I'll never forget when I went on hiphopsite.com one day and quote from Dr. Dre, I just signed Rakim the Aftermath. The name of the album is going to be called Oh My God, and it's going to be the biggest rap album ever. Man, what the fuck ever.
Like I said, I believe it when I hear it.
Right, like if Dr. Dre is saying it, that's when you need to be like, oh, so we're never going to hear that. Snoop says it, it's like, oh, y'all are actually in the studio making music. Right.
I don't know. Michael Sanders with the super chat says Schoolboy Q catalog is better than Kendrick's. What about Schoolboy Q versus Kendrick?
What have I been saying?
He says, I think Q would win.
What have I been saying about all them bangers Q got? Water with Lil Baby, Gang on Crash Talk, Chopsticks.
I like Crash Talk a lot. I really do. That was an album that I feel like was slept on.
That's his Southern Fusion rap album. Yeah.
CJ Kid with the $20 super chat. Appreciate the love. He said, I'm sorry I have to say this. Whenever I hear you guys, especially Coop, speak on Illmatic with the enthusiasm and excitement, all it does is just make me want to listen to It Ain't Hard to Tell. And again, over and over and over again.